Erev Tov, everyone. It is Wednesday night. It is 8 p.m. here on the east side of the United States. Here in the diaspora, this is the Maimon Beit Knesset. Therefore, it must be the Torah study with Rabbi Aryel and Rabbi Ancel. And let's put his picture up here. And without further ado, let's bring on Rabbi Ancel. Good
Erev
evening,
Tov,
sir.
everybody, and welcome to our study tonight.
Yeah. So we begin again with the new cycle of the Torah reading.
52 weeks of it.
Yep. We're up until next Simchat Torah.
Correct.
Hopefully, next Simchat Torah will be a lot better than the last one.
Well, hopefully Israel is going to do something about that.
Yeah. Okay, so I apologize. I'm gonna have to switch cameras because this one is a little grainy. So I'll do that for the next show. Actually, next week, put a different camera on, see if we can get a little better picture going because this is not good. Okay, anyway. So we're going to start again tonight. We're going to start with the study of Breshit from the Sefer Breshit. And how we'll do this is we will read through the Parshah first, and then we'll come back and we will explore because, as I was telling Rabbi Ancel earlier, is that the my little midrash says that I usually use is buried somewhere in those 40 boxes of books that I have sitting here in the other side of the shul that I haven't unpacked yet. So eventually we'll come across it. But until then, we'll just have to go with what we know, right?
Right.
Okay, so let us put up the Torah, the Parshah here. We're using the one from Sefaria. I can't recommend this site highly enough. It is a mammoth library of Jewish texts. If you're looking for anything, you will find, more than likely, you will find it on Sefaria. The only thing I haven't really found on there is some of the more obscure writings, like the alphabet of Ben Sira. I haven't found that on there yet. May be there, just haven't seen it yet. Okay, so we'll start out. Barakat Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav v'tzivah Lasok B'divrei Torah. Okay, anytime you are ready, sir.
So we start Bereshit with the famous sentence, which says in Aramaic, Bereshit bara Elohim es hashemayim ve'et haaretz. Said when God began to create the heavens and the earth being unformed and void, which was, we learned in Kabbalah, which was bohu, with the darkness over the surface of the deep and wind from God sweeping over the water. God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, and that was the first day. God said, let there be an expanse of midst of the water, that it may separate the water from water. So God made the expanse, and it separated the water which was below the expanse from the water which was above the expanse. And it was so. God called the expanse sky, and there was evening, and there was morning. That was the second day. God said, let the water below the sky be gathered into one area, and that the dry land may appear. And it was so. God called the dry land the earth, and he called the gathering the water seas. And God saw that this was good. And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit. Oh, where am I?
Sorry.
That bear fruit of every kind, with the seed in it, and it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, seed in every kind of bearing fruit, which is the seed in it, and God saw that this was good. And there was evening, and there was morning. That was the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate day from the night. They shall serve as signs for the set of times, the days and the years. And they shall serve as lights as the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to dominate the day, and the lesser light to dominate the night, and the stars. And God set them in an expanse in the sky to shine upon the earth, to dominate the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that this was good. And there was evening, and there was morning. That was the fourth day. God said, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures and birds that fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. So God created the great sea monsters and all the living creatures of every kind that creeps, which the waters brought forth in swarms, all the winged birds that of every kind. And God said, this was good. God blessed them, saying, be fertile and increase. Fill the waters in the seas and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning. That was the fifth day. God said, let the earth bring forth every kind of living creatures, cattle, creeping things, and all the wild beasts of every kind. And it was so. So God made wild beasts of every kind, and cattle of every kind, and all kinds of creeping things of the earth. And God saw that this was good. And God said, let us make humankind our images after our likeness. And they shall rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the cattle, the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on earth. And God created humankind in the divine image, creating in the image of God, creating them male and female. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fertile, increase, fill the earth, and master it, and rule the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the living things that creep on earth. And God said, see, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruits, and they shall be yours for food, and all the animals on land, to all the birds on the sky, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is breath of life, and all the green plants for food. And it was so.
Okay, I just want to recognize we have Richard in the chat room, and our
The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array, and on the seventh day God finished the work that had been undertaken by him. On the seventh day from doing on the seventh day from doing any of the work, and God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, having ceased on it from all work of creation that God has done. Such is the story of heaven and earth when they were created, when God made earth and heaven. When no shrub of the field was yet on the earth, and no grass on the field had yet sprouted, because had not sent rain upon the earth, and there was no human beings to till the soil. But a flow would fell up from the ground, and water to the surface of the earth. God formed the human being from the soil, hummus. I eat hummus, blowing into the nostrils a breath of life, and human became a living being. God planted a garden of Eden in in the in the cast and placed it there the human who had been fashioned. And from the ground God caused to grow every tree that pleasing to the sight and good for food, with the trees of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and bad. A river issues from Eden to water the garden, and then it was divided, and it became four branches. The name of the first is Pishon, the one that winds through the whole land of Havilah, where the gold is. The gold of the land is good bdellium, and there was a lapis lazuli. The name of the second river was Gihon, the one that the winds through the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river was Tigris, the one that flows east of Assur, and the fourth river was Euphrates. God settled the human being in the Garden of Eden to till and to tend to it. And God commanded the human, saying, of every tree of this garden you are free to eat. But as for the tree of knowledge of good and bad, you must not eat, for as soon as you eat of it, you shall die. God said, it is not good for the human to be alone. I will make a fitting counterpart for him. And God formed out of the earth all the wild beasts and all the birds in the sky, and brought them to the human to see what he would call them. And whatever the human called each living creature, that would be its name. And he called, and the human gave names to all the cattle, to the birds in the sky, and to all the wild beasts. And no fitting counterparts for a human being was formed. So God cast a deep sleep upon the human, and while he slept, God took one on its sides and closed up the flesh at that side. And God fashioned the side he had taken from the human into a woman, bringing her to the human. Then the human said, this one at least is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called a woman. For I'm going to tongue tie. For from a human was she taken. Hence a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife, so that they become one flesh. The two of them were naked, and the human and his wife, yet they felt no shame. Now that the serpent was the shrewdest of them all wild beasts that God had made, it said to the woman, did God really say you shall not eat from any tree of the garden? The woman replied to the serpent, we may not eat fruit of the other trees of the garden. It is only about fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden that God said, you shall not eat of it or touch it, at least, or unless you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you are not going to die, but God knows that as soon as you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like the divine being who knows good or bad. When the woman saw that the tree was good for eating, and a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable and as a source of wisdom, she took its fruit and ate. And she also gave some of it to her husband, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they perceived that they were naked. And they sewed together fig leaves and made themselves loincloths. They heard the sound of God moving about the garden in the breeze time of the day, and the human and his wife hid from God among the trees of the garden. God called out to the human and said to him, "Where are you?" He replied, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." "Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat of the tree from which I had forbidden you to eat?" The human said, "The woman you put at my side, she gave me of the tree, and I ate." And God said to the woman, "What have you done?" The woman replied, the serpent duped me, and I ate." Then God said to the serpent, "Because you did this, more cursed shall you be than all the cattle and all the wild beasts. On your belly you shall crawl, and dirt shall you eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between the offspring and hers, and they shall strike at your head, and you shall strike at their head,
Their
at
heel.
their heel, I'm sorry." And to the woman God said, "I will greatly expand your hard labor and your pregnancies. In hardship you shall bear children. Yet your urge shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." To Adam God said, "Because you did as your wife said, and you ate of the tree about which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed be the ground because of you. By hard labor shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall sprout from you, but your food shall be grass of the field. By the sweat of your brow shall you get bread to eat until you return to the ground from where you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." The human named his wife Eve, because she was the mother of all the living. And God made garments of skins for Adam and his wife and clothed them. And God said, "Now that humankind has become like any of us, knowing good and bad, what if one should stretch out a hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever?" So God banished humankind from the Garden of Eden to till the humans from which it was taken. It was driven out and eat of the Garden of Eden were stationed the cherubim and the fiery ever-turning sword to guard the way of the tree of life. Now the human knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, "I have gained a person, which to help of." She then bore his brother Abel, because the keeper of the sheep, and Cain became a tiller of the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought and offered to God from the fruit of the soil, and Abel for his part brought choices of firstlings of his flocks, paid heed to Abel as his offering. But to Cain and the offering to God paid no heed. Cain was much distressed, and his face fell. And God said to Cain, "Why are you distressed, and why is your face fallen? Surely if you do right, there is uplift. But if you do not do the right, sin couches at the door. It urges towards you, yet you can be its master." Cain said to his brother Abel, and when they were in the field, Cain set upon his brother Abel and killed him. God said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" And he said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? What have you done? Hark, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Therefore you shall be more cursed than the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. If you tell the soil, it shall no longer yield its strength to you, and you shall become a ceaseless wanderer of the earth. Cain said to God, my punishment is too great to bear. Since you have banished me this day from the soil, I must avoid your presence and become a restless wanderer on earth. My one who meets me may kill me. God said to him, I promise if anyone kills Cain, sevenfold vengeance shall be exacted. And God put a mark on Cain, lest anyone who met him should kill him. Cain left the presence of God, and he settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain knew his wife, and he conceived and bore Enoch. And he then founded a city, and the city was named after his son, Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad. Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methusael, and Methusael begot Lamech. I'm having problems seeing. Lamech took to himself two wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the other one was Zillah. Ada bore Jabal. He was the ancestor of those who dwell in tents and amid herds. Herds. And the name of his brother was Jubal. He was the ancestor of all who played the lyre and the pipe. As for Zillah, she bore Tubal Cain, who forged all implements of copper and iron, and his sister of Lubal Cain was Nama. Elana said to his wife, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, O wives of Lamech, give ear to my speech. I have slain a person for wandering me, and a lad for bruising me. If Cain is avenged sevenfold, then Lamech 77fold. Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son named Seth, meaning God has provided me with another offspring in place of Abel, for Cain had killed him. And so Seth, in turn, a son was born, and he named him Enosh. And it was then that God began to be invoked by name. This is the record of Adam's line. When God created humankind, it was made in the likeness of God. Male and female, they created. And then when they were created, God blessed them and called them humankind. Well, nowadays, there's more than man and woman.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. No way.
When Adam had lived 130 years, he begot a son of his likeness, after his image, and he named him Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived 800 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days that Adam had lived, to 930 years, and he then died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he begot Enoch. After the birth of Enoch, Seth lived 807 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Seth to 912 years when he died. When Enoch had lived 90 years, he begot Kenan. After the birth of Kenan, Enoch lived 850 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch came to 905 years. Then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he begot Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Kenan came to 910 years. Then he died. When Mahalalel lived 65 years, he begot Jared. When the birth of Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Mahalalel came to 895 years, and then he died. When Jared lived 162 years, he begot Enoch. And after the birth of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Jared came to 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he begot Methuselah. After the birth of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch came to 365 years. Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, for God took him. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he begot Lamech. After the birth of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years. He begot sons and daughters. All the days of Methuselah came to 969 years. Then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he begot a son, and he named him Noah, saying, "This one will provide us relief from our work and from the toil of our hands." Japheth. When humankind began to increase on earth and daughters were born to them, the male among them, divine beings, saw how pleasing the human women were and took wives among those who delighted them. And God said, "My breath shall not abide in humankind forever, since it too is flesh. Let the days allow them to be 120 years." It was then and later too that the Nephilim appeared on earth, when divine beings cohabited the human women who bore them offsprings, such as the heroes of old, the men of renown. And God saw how great was the human wickedness on earth, how every plan devised by the human mind was nothing but evil all the right. And God regretted having made mankind on earth with a sorrowful heart. And God said, "I will blot them out on the earth, humankind, from what I created, humans together with beasts, creeping things, and birds in the sky, for I regret that I made them." But Noah found favor in God, and Noah.
And that's the end of the Parshah.
Yep.
Okay, so lot packed into the first Parshah of the Torah and the Sefer.
The beginning of life with humans.
So we're going to go back now, and we're going to go and delve into this a little more. So, and again, just like in the Torah scroll, you can see here that the first letter, Breshit, is actually larger than all the other letters.
Yep.
And why is that?
Well, Breshit basically it's an acronym. It's two words. It's Beit and Reshit. There were two firsts. The second letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Beit. It stands for the purpose. So, God created the
Are you there? Ancel?
God created the heavens and the earth, okay?
Okay.
For two reasons. First, he created the Torah, and the second, he created for the people of Israel. So, how did God create the world? God looked into the Torah because the Torah was the tool of God's artistry. It's the same thing like an architect, that builds a palace. He just doesn't. He has a vision, but then he has to put it on paper, notebooks. He has to consult regarding,
Then he has to put a plan together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, God had a plan. He knew what he wanted to be, but there was no substance to it. There was just an idea. And this is where Kabbalah comes in. He talks about bohu, which was empty, and tohu when it had substance. But that's part of Kabbalah.
Yeah. So
So
the bet at the beginning and in Breshit can actually be interpreted to mean in or to, or in or
correct.
towards.
Yeah.
So it can be
So
in the beginning,
right.
or
So
towards the
God,
beginning.
yeah. So God looked into the Torah and He created the world, and man looked into the Torah and sustains the world. So that's where they came up with the saying, God lacht and the man stracht.
Yeah. Yeah.
God laughs,
Man.
the man works.
Yeah. Okay. So then we come into this whole thing of Hoshech, which the Hoshech right here, which in here, that's the problem with this. Yeah. I don't want the table of contents go away. Okay, so in here, it was being void and darkness, and actually, it can mean chaos.
Correct.
And if I can just figure out how to get rid of this sidebar here now. No. Go away, resources. Man, I don't know how I got it, and I don't know how to get rid of it. So anyway, and we talked about this when we were before we went on break, and we were doing this. We were going over the study, and we were talking about the whole concept of chaos, order coming out of chaos. Chaos cannot exist because order will come out of it, and things like that. So the void and the darkness, the void and the chaos over the surface of the deep.
Because if you go a little bit higher, because it says in the Aramaic, it talks about tohu and bohu, which is the unformed, the void, and the darkness. And when God created the earth, when He created the world, it became something of substance. It became bohu.
Yeah.
But it's.
Yeah, well, tohu is potential. Bohu is when it actually goes from potential into some kind of act.
Yeah, it comes into be.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Go away. Go away. Don't. I don't know how I got that. I don't know how to get rid of it. So we'll just go on from here. Okay. So there's a very interesting when we come in here. Okay, so it said that let there be light, and there was light. But further on, it talks about God creating the two orbs, the sun and the moon.
Correct.
So is this a contradiction in the narrative?
In a way, it is because He created the sun for the day and the moon for the night.
Yeah, but He created those for a purpose. This is the light. This is the light of creation that we're talking about here. The two it's more than the physical light of the sun and the moon. And God saw the light was good, and again, God separated light from darkness because they are completely opposite of one another. That becomes kind of key here in a few minutes. So, and God called the light day, and he called the darkness night, and there was evening, there was morning, a first day. Okay, so this is, this darkness comes, okay. And God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the water, made it separate water from water. Okay, this is separating because it has to be that way. It has to be a separation between the waters above and the waters below. For life to actually exist in the world, there has to be that separation. So God separates it. I want you to notice something interesting here. God called the expanse sky, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. Notice what didn't happen here. What's missing from this statement? God saw it was good. God did not pronounce this good because it was separating like from like. Separating two things that want to be together. I mean, anybody who's studied hydrology, Adrian probably knows what I'm talking about, knows that water seeks water. Water will always seek water. Okay, so it always wants to be together, but for the world to exist, it had to be separated. So there's this eternal dance going on where they touch but can never actually be together. So God did not call this day good. What day is the second day? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller?
I'm waiting for somebody to answer in the room.
So if he ended on Shabbat, and the first day was what we call Sunday, what would be the second day? It would be Monday. And what do we always say about Monday? Mondays are never a good day, right? Well, now you know why. God did not pronounce it a good day. Okay. So let the waters be gathered below the sky, gathered into one area, dry land. And it was so. And I still wish I could get rid of that because it's just annoying me now. Okay, and God called the dry land earth and called to the gathering of the waters seas, and God saw that this was good. And God said, let vegetation, let the earth spread vegetation, seed-bearing fruit, and trees of every kind on earth, and bear fruit with its seed in it. So based on this definition, a tomato is a fruit, right? And the earth brought forth vegetation, seed-bearing plant, every kind of tree, every kind of bearing fruit. Tennessee, and God saw that this was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. Okay, now we're on to Tuesday. God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate from the night, and they shall serve for the signs of the times of the seasons and the years, days of the year. And in the Kabbalah text, it actually tells us that originally the sun and the moon were equal. That, they were the same size and the same intensity. And for the world to be able to exist, one had to be diminished, which was the moon. It says in the time of Mashiach, then the moon will regain its former stature as being the same as the sun. God made the two great lights, the greater light to dominate the day and the lesser light to dominate the night and the stars. I mean, it was necessary for the moon because that's basically how we tell the seasons is by the moon. And
not with the sun.
it gives us our calendar too. It also regulates the tides of the ocean.
That's why, that's why we bless the moon. We don't pray to the moon. We bless the moon.
Right, right. We bless the moon every month, and
Correct.
the sun we bless what every 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean we don't bless the sun as often, anywhere near as often as we bless the moon.
Unless you're AOC.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody heard that. They interviewed her, and she finally
Oh,
said that
that was
what?
a joke. Yeah,
I don't know if it's a joke or
yeah,
she said it, but she said that we can land on the sun, but only at night.
yeah. To dominate the day and the night, to separate light from darkness, and God saw this was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. And God set the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures and birds and fly above in the earth across the expanse of the sky. And God created the great sea monster. That would be Leviathan,
Uh-huh.
Leviathan,
Yep.
or the Leviathan. And that God actually had to bind because had to kill its mate and bind it because it would have, according to the text, the Kabbalist text, that it would have devoured everything.
All the sea creatures.
Yeah, every kind that creep on the waters brought forth swarms and all the winged birds, every kind, and God saw this was good. Again, saw this was good. Okay, so Monday we know was not pronounced good day. Okay, because God separated like from like. Okay, and we're going to find out something as we go on. God bless them, saying, be fertile and increase. So the first mitzvah that was given was not even given to men. It was given to the creatures, given to the birds and the beasts. Be fertile and increase, fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning, a fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth every kind of living creature, cattle, creeping thing, and wild beasts of every kind. And it was so. And we talked about all this thing that God said. God said, God said, God said. And if you go back to the ones that we were doing before we went on summer break, and we talked about this whole thing about the resonance, God actually had to say it because that created the vibration, that and the wave, and which was it's the same same thing with music. Okay, so God saw that this was good. God said, let us make mankind in our image, after our likeness, and they said, make humankind. I don't like this translation. They're trying to be too politically correct with this. I don't like it. Because it doesn't say humankind. That's not the word that's up here, right?
He created, no.
Yeah, that's not the word. They're just trying to play political correctness, and I hate it.
He created man.
This just grinds me. Make mankind in our image, after our likeness, and they shall rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and the cattle and the whole earth and all the creeping things that creep on the earth. And God created mankind, in the divine image. It had to be mankind because this is Adam Kadmon, right?
Yep.
Okay, so by image, creating the image of God, created them male and female. Male and female. There is no other. That's it, folks. That's it.
Same thing. Marriage is between man
That's right.
and woman.
And it actually tells us right here in this Parshah. God blessed them, and then God said to them, be fruitful and increase and fill the earth and master it and rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and all the living things that creep on the earth. God said, "See, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon the earth, and every tree that has a seed-bearing fruit, and they shall be yours for food, and to all the animals on the land, and to all the birds of the sky, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is the breath of life. I give all the green plants for food," and it was so. Okay, so this is where a lot of people come up with the idea that, oh, we're supposed to be vegetarians. Well, yeah, at this point, they were vegetarians. It isn't until Noah that God gives us permission to actually eat meat, and we'll read that in next week's Parshah. So, and everything on earth in which there is the breath of life, the Ruach HaKodesh, give all the green plants for food, and it was so. And God saw that all that he made and found it very good, and there was evening and there was morning the sixth day. And the heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished all the work that was that he had been undertaken. God ceased on the seventh day from doing any of the work. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, having ceased on it from all the work of creation that God had made. Okay, let's pause there, and we're going to take our 6-minute break now, and then we'll come back and we'll delve into this a little bit more. So, Ancel, I'm going to turn you down here for a moment.
Okay.
And I'm going to get back to my studio here because I got so many things sitting up in front of it right now. Okay, so okay, we'll take that down, and we'll take that down for the moment, and then we will take our break, and we will be back in 6. So stay tuned.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. And now, on with the show.
And we are back. So, before we bring Rabbi Ancel back on, I just want to make an announcement that with the situation, I want to bring up the situation going on in Israel right now. The Maimon Beit Knesset did make a donation of $500 to purchase tzitzit for the IDF. They are clamoring for tzitzit, and they've numerous posts by military IDF, IAF, IDF, and the other groups just asking for tzitzit. So there's a big campaign on right now to make tzitzit for the IDF and for the IAF, and we through Rabbi Moshe Steinerman. Most of you know him as Rabbi Moshe I Love Torah. We sent the money to him and asked him to get it to the proper people. He spent most of the day today hunting down the right people so that he could act as our holy emissary for this project. So we are very glad that that money has gotten to where it needs to be, and they are really desperate. So if anybody out there wants to make a donation, go to Rabbi Moshe Steinerman's Facebook page, and you'll find a statement on there where you can send your donations to help get tzitzits to the IDF. Ancel, I got you back on now. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn you back up.
I can hear you. I
Okay.
just wrote down his name, so I'm going to see what I can
Yeah,
do.
actually, it's on my Facebook page
Okay.
too. You'll be able to find it there too. But either place, but yeah, any amount you can give is going to going to help. They really need. I mean, we all know this. They need to have this. It's holy
By the
protection
way,
for
I
them.
called my cousin in Israel, and tomorrow I'm going to send him $18 so he can buy an olive tree for your friend that lost her son. So she gave me his name, and I'm gonna plant an olive tree in his name.
Great, great. So let's pick up where we left off here. Such is the story of the heaven and earth, and when they were created, when God made the earth and the heaven. Okay, so I want to get down here a little further here. As we know, the plants and all this other thing, God formed the human and blowing into the nostrils and all this other. God planted the garden in the east. Okay, so he planted this garden in Eden in the east. Okay, so there was actually two gardens.
Uh-huh.
There was Gan Eden, and there was another garden where God had put Adam and Chava to work the soil there and tend the garden. Okay, and God caused, that was pleasing for food and trees and this and that and the other thing, and the three rivers, the Pishon, the Gihon, and the Tigris, and this Havilah, with the Pishon, the one with the winds through the whole land of Havilah. Havilah ends up being the land where that God gives to Esau.
Yep.
It's his land is called Havilah. It's a very narrow strip of land, and it goes from the Red Sea. I can't remember exactly where it is. If I had a map, I could easily show it to you. But
it's supposed to be very fertile land.
Yes, it is. Okay, get whole land of Cush, Assyria, the Euphrates, and let's see. And God commanded the humans, saying, "Of every tree of the garden you are free to eat. But as for the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, you must not eat of it. For as soon as you eat of it, you shall die." Okay. You must not eat from it. He hasn't actually forbidden it, correct? Because he doesn't actually say forbidden.
Because he says you can eat from all the trees, and now he says, but.
Yeah, he's basically saying, well, don't eat from this tree because the day you eat it, you're going to die. Okay, and he's not technically forbidding it. Okay, so let's go on. Now I want to thank Rabbi Friedman for what I'm going to talk about next, is because he did this wonderful presentation on this. It's a whole different look at this whole scenario. I found it fascinating. So, God said it's not good for a human to be alone. I will make a fitting counterpart for him. And God formed out of the earth wild beasts. Okay, so this is another thing. We talked about this in the previous show, that the animals, that God had created all these beasts and creeping things and everything, but they had no attributes at that point. So at that point, God brings them to Adam, and Adam names them, becoming part of the creative process by giving them all their attributes. Henceforth, that's why an Ari is because it's called an Ari. Its name gives it all its attributes. Okay, so getting going on. Was not found. So God caused sleep to fall on the human. And we'll notice here that the creation of woman is not used. The same term is not used. It's a different term. The term is more likened to constructed, which tells us that woman was a far more complex creature than man was.
So he
And
fashioned her.
I'm
He
sure
didn't
just
create
about
her.
any woman out there will agree.
He didn't say created. He said he fashioned her.
Yeah, it's more akin to a more complex creation.
Boy, a D complex.
Yeah. How well we know. Okay, so it said this one, this one at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This is where we get the whole concept of Lilith, but we're not going to get into that. I want to skip.
We have
So
ladies
here
in
we
the
go.
room?
Hence, a man leaves his mother and father and clings to his wife. That's marriage. God establishes marriage right here between a man and a woman, period.
Do we have any ladies in the room?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, ladies, I meant no disrespect.
Hey, I mean, the truth is the truth.
They say the truth hurts, but it's the truth.
The two of them were naked, and they fell, and the wife, yet they felt no shame.
I have a question for the room.
Okay.
What was the difference between Adam and Eve? Not between them, Adam and Eve. What is the difference of them and us now, physically?
Ah. Interesting. Okay, we'll let everybody chew on that question. Okay, so the serpent was the shrewdest of all wild beasts that God had made. It said to the woman, did God really say, you shall not eat of the tree in the garden? The woman replied to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the other trees of the garden. It is only from the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden that God said, you shall not eat of it or touch it, lest you die. Okay, so, and we know about the serpent, and she gives it to Adam. Let's go down here. The woman saw the tree was good for eating and a delight to the eyes, and the tree was desirable as a source of wisdom. And she took from the fruit and ate of it, and gave it to her husband, and ate it. Now, the woman kind of get a bad rap on this one. Okay? And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they perceived that they were naked, and they sewed together fig leaves and made themselves loincloths. They heard God moving about in the breeze, the breezy time of the day, and Adam, the man, and his wife hid from God among the trees of the garden, and God called out to Adam and said to him, where are you? And he replied, Hineni, I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid. And God said, who told you you were naked? Did you eat of the tree of the fruit which I had forbidden you? Now, he's saying forbidden at this point. Okay, but as we read in there, he really didn't. It was more like a suggestion than anything else. It was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't eat of this tree. If you do, you're gonna die. Okay. So, and it said, the woman you put at my side, she gave me of the tree, and I ate it. Okay. So, what is going on here? Okay. Chava, or Eve, actually figures it out. She's the one that figures it out. God made the world for Israel. How is Israel going to become if Adam and Chava stay in the garden? It won't. They have to go out into the world. Everything that happens after that has to happen. Eve actually figures that out and says, you know what? And I think the reason that the snake got cursed is because he wasn't supposed to say anything. they were supposed to, Adam and Chava were supposed to figure this out for themselves, and the serpent kind of spilled the beans, let the cat out of the bag. Okay, so she finally figures that out. She said, oh, then we need to do this. We need to eat of this so that we can be expelled from the garden, so that we can fulfill what God had originally intended. So everything that coming up from prior to this is tohu, right?
Yep.
It's in potential. And it isn't until Chava actually eats and gives it to Adam, and he eats, that it goes from tohu to bohu.
Because she knew they were going to get expelled.
She knew, maybe she didn't know exactly that they were going to get expelled, but she knew that for them to fulfill what God had planned for the world, for everything that's happened from that point on to actually happen, that she had to eat from this fruit, and she had to get Adam to eat from it too, so that they would come to this realization, so that they would end up outside of the garden, so they could fulfill what God had originally intended. So when God comes in and talks to Adam and Eve, and woman that you put at my side, she gave me of the tree and I ate it. Okay, well, a lot of interpretations says, oh yeah, well, she led him into sin and all this other stuff. No, they said, my wife figured it out. She's the one that figured it out. She figured it out. She told me, and I ate of the fruit of the tree. And, credit where credit is due, right?
Correct.
So
she did the right thing.
She did exactly what God wanted her to do, but they had to have the option. They had to have the choice to do it. And she was the one that figured out that if we don't do it, then we'll be in the garden, my husband and I, and we will just tend the garden, and that will be the end of it. There won't be any more. It won't be any children or anything like that. There won't be any people, because we will still be in the garden. Mm-hmm. They can't reproduce until they leave the garden. In fact, God even says it here. And the serpent duped me. Well, I don't think that's actually what it actually says up here. It doesn't actually says it duped me. Okay, so God said to the serpent, because you did this, and again, the way I'm interpreting this, and this is outside of Rabbi Friedman's interpretation, is that the snake, the serpent was not supposed to tell them this. He was kind of shortcutting things. It's like anybody who's, we have numerous stories about rabbis who try to force God's hand, bring Mashiach and so forth, ahead of schedule, and it never works out good for them. It never does. They always end up getting punished very severely. In this case, again, we have the serpent, and the serpent gets punished greatly because he did what because he was trying to force the hand of God faster than was in the plan. Okay, but he becomes cursed, and Adam and Chava actually figure out that, they need to do this. That this is the only way they could. They could just not eat of it. They could stay in the garden. They could live as long as they wanted to live, and that would have been the end of it. Or
there would have been no world.
Exactly. There wouldn't have been.
No.
There would have been no purpose.
Correct.
And he figured out that for God's plan to actually happen, they had to do this. They had to disobey in kind of disobey, but kind of not disobey. Because God really didn't say, I'm forbidding you, don't ever touch this. I'm telling you, it's off limits to you. No, he says, you shouldn't eat this. It's not good because you're going to die. Well, that's exactly what it is. That once you get that knowledge and once you've made that choice, you become a human, and humans have a lifespan. You are going to die from that point, from the time that you are born until that actually happens. You are dying through that whole process. And that's what God was trying to tell them, is that at that point you are going to start to die because you are now going to become an actual human being.
Tohu.
Tohu. Yeah. Okay. We'll put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and theirs. They shall strike a tree. Again, this is a curse because the serpent kind of spilled the beans. Again, and this is my interpretation. You can take it for what it's worth. But I thought this was Rabbi Friedman's take on this was absolutely fascinating. It puts a whole new light on the whole Adam and Chava story. And basically, takes the curse that we have put on women, and turns it around and says, no, Chava actually figured it out, and the Zohar actually bears this out because it tells us that God counts the tears of women. That they are a complex being. They have a closer attachment to God, and therefore they cry more often. And that's bared out by what Chava actually does. She eats of the fruit and she says, "Okay, I get it. We have to do this. Yes, I understand. I am going to die. I understand that I am going to have to go through childbirth, which is going to be extremely painful, and that my husband Adam is going to have to work and struggle to put food on the table and all that, and but
still hasn't changed.
That's what God wanted us to have. That's how God wanted this to roll out. And she figured it out. Okay. So,
did anybody in the room figure out?
Not yet. Shoshi says that we know we are complicated. Now I understand that we were constructed that way on purpose. Okay. And that, Simca's joined us. Okay. Simca, you're gonna have to watch this from the beginning. No, nobody's figured it out.
Huh.
So we got.
Both Adam and Eve didn't have belly buttons.
Yeah. That is true. You know who else didn't have a belly button?
Nope.
The guy that used to do the mystery show, Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock did not have a belly button.
How?
He had his umbilical cord was attached in a different location, but he actually did not have a belly button.
Huh. No wonder he was weird.
Yeah. Really? Yes. Yeah. Okay, and when we get into when we get into the Noach story, not that Noach actually, this is also interesting too. That Noach. Let's skip ahead here, way down here, because it talks about Noach's sons. This mark of Cain. The mark of Cain, this is actually, and I think I actually read this a long time ago. I think I actually read it in the Alphabet of Ben Sira, and talking about this mark of Cain. People say, well, it was horns, it was, this and that. that doesn't really make sense, because let's say it was horns. If Cain had his back to somebody, they could have easily killed him without realizing who he was. Okay? In the text that I read, it said the mark of Cain wasn't actually a mark on his physical body. So the mark of Cain was actually a dog. That God gave Cain a dog, and that dog was Cain's protector. Because we know that a dog will put itself, unlike a cat, will put itself in harm's way for his master.
That is for sure.
Yeah, they will give up their life for their master, and it says that it talks about Cain and the dog, and how God released the dog at the time that Cain was supposed to die, and the dog refused to leave Cain. He preferred to perish with Cain than to leave him. So hence, when we do our Pesach Seder, along with what we've learned of the dogs in Exodus, because they didn't bark or snap at the Israelites when they were leaving and stuff, and God later on rewards them by giving them all the treif. God tells them, throw the treif to the dogs. So we always start our Passover Seder when we did have a dog. We always started out by giving the dog, feeding the dog first, as the Torah tells, or as we are instructed to do by the rabbis, is that we feed the animals first before we eat it ourselves.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I will feed the dog first before I could be starving, but my dog will eat first.
Yeah. So okay, we got the whole thing. Let's get to the begets. Okay, there's Seth, and all the years. There's Methuselah. It said the most tragic figure in all of the Torah is Methuselah.
Correct.
Because Methuselah lived 969 years, and by the way, that's my goal. 969 years and 1 day. So I lived 1 day longer than Methuselah. But they say that Methuselah is the most tragic figure in the Torah, because in 969 years, all the Torah could find to say about him was, well, he had sons and daughters. Well, getting on here to see, there, Noah. This one will provide. This actually tells us. We read in the rabbinic text that Noah was actually an inventor. That he was an inventor. That's why it talks about this one will provide us relief because of his inventions. Let's see, 65, okay, and it says here. Okay, now notice here, Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Okay, now anywhere else in the Torah it says, okay, well, when so and so was so many years old, they had this one, and then when they were so many years old, they had this one, and so many years old, and they had this one. Notice it says he lived 500 years. Noach begot Shem, Ham, and Yafet. There's no division in there at all. And based on what I read, it says these were the first triplets. Shem, Ham, and Yafet were the first triplets. Now we will read in the Parshah Noach about the older and stuff like that, but that all has to do with the order of birth. So the theory is that Shem, Ham, and Yafet were the first triplets, because it doesn't say, well, Noah in his 212th year begot Shem, and then he in his 250th year he begot Ham, and so on and so forth. It just lumps them all together. Shem, Ham, and Yafet, no division in there whatsoever. And we know that the order of birth is Shem, Ham,
Yep.
and Yafet.
And, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we got about 10 more minutes. You wanted do you want to go into any more belly button stuff or
No,
no?
no. It's a good question.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a head scratcher. So, let's see, do we have any questions in the chat room? Let me get back over to here. That's where I got Simcha, thank you. We are very glad to be back. It took longer than we thought it would. There were delays, trying to schedule, get things packed and schedule packers and schedule movers and stuff like that. And the world doesn't turn because of my will. We had delays and stuff like that. So we were late getting in here, and unfortunately, we weren't in here in time for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur or Sukkot, but fortunately, we were able to be here for Hoshana Rabbah and Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, and we are back on our regular schedule. Of course, Zeta didn't have his show this week because after the long weekend, and especially after we didn't plan it that way. We were just thinking, okay, we need to take a day's break after the 3 days of holidays. So we'll have Zeta Story Corner the next week. But fortunately, we did not schedule it. It just wouldn't have been proper. We would have had to have canceled it. But Zeta will be back on this coming Monday with his regular show, Zeta's Story Corner. And again on Tuesday night with the Rabbis Discuss. We had a really good session last night. That was got a lot of great feedback on that. I think a lot of people
I think the people in the show in the room should also think about what they would like for you and I to discuss, when rabbis discuss, because they may have some questions that they want to know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we will talk about anything you want.
Well, not anything that you want. Anything within reason, anything that we find interesting, I guess. But yeah. Send us suggestions of what you'd like us to discuss. We were talking during the summer of maybe taking a look at the Siddur, and how the Siddur is constructed and why it is constructed the way it is constructed. That was one idea that we had. And then again on Wednesday nights is the Parshah study of the week. Next week it'll be Parshah Noach with more and more interesting little tidbits about that. Not quite as interesting as not having a belly button, but close. Okay, so we got about 6 minutes left. You have anything you want to bring up, Ancel?
No.
Okay, again, I'm just going to remind you, go to either my Facebook page or Rabbi Moshe Steinerman's Facebook page, and you'll find a place there where you can make a donation for the Zitzit, for the Israeli military. That is important. That is over above the food and everything else. The Zitzits are the most important thing that we can do for the military. What was that?
That's a mitzvah.
That is. And right now, it is an extremely important one. So, okay. So, I'm going to turn you down here for a moment, Ancel.
Okay.
Want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I hope you found this our look into the Parshah Breshit interesting. And again, like as Rabbi Ancel was saying, if there's a subject you would like us to cover as part of the Rabbis Discuss program, let us know. You can contact me or Rabbi Ancel on Facebook or by email, and just let us know of anything that you want to. Oh, that's right, Shoshi. I forgot to tell you, Happy Thanksgiving Day there in Crazy Canuck Land. Just say today the Saskatchewan provincial government sent funds directly to aid Israel, not the federal government. I'm so pleased and happy I live in Saskatchewan. Yeah, absolutely. Merriweather, the fighter, the ex-professional fighter, he's now a promoter, undefeated champion, flew supplies into Israel on his own private plane. There are some amazing acts going on out there, despite all the terrible stuff that is actually going on in Israel and going on around the world. So please pray for the peace of Israel. Pray that they are able to accomplish the task of destroying Hamas. So there'll be some kind of semblance of peace. Okay, until then, don't forget Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern is Kabbalat and Mariv Shabbat service, and Shabbat morning at 10 a.m. is Shachrit Musaf. Until then, everyone, Laila Tov.